All right. All right, it's time to get started. If you would, please stand. We have Judge Jamie Smith will lead us in our pledge, and former Judge Wade White will lead us in our prayer.
Pray with me, please.
Hold on.
Are we praying or are we?
Salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Lord, thank you so much for this beautiful day that you've given us, Lord. Thank you so much for this PeADD group that we're all a part of and all the things that it does and all the people that it touches. We ask you to be with the leaders as they make difficult decisions and do the work that we've tasked them with. Lord, just thank you so much for our troops. Those that are in harm's way, we ask your blessing upon them. Lord, we just thank you for what they're able to do and to keep our freedom. Lord, we thank you for 250 years of the freedoms that we enjoy. Lord, just be with our federal leaders and our state leaders, but most of all, Lord, be with our local leaders. They deal with stuff on a regular basis every single day. There's a lot of rewards, but it wears them out, Lord. And we just ask you to be with them, strengthen them through the times that they need. Lord, just thank you so much for all you do for us. In Jesus' precious name, I pray. Amen.
Thank you both. This time we will entertain a motion to approve the minutes. There's a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, Mr. Lee Wilson with the financial report.
Good afternoon, everyone. In your packet, you will find the full financial report, Mayor Cott. As of April the 30th, we should be at 83 1/3 of the overall budget. Actual expenditures reflect 59.56% of budgeted amounts. On the revenue side, 56% of budgeted revenue has been accrued as of April the 30th. Mr. Chairman, if there are no additions or corrections, it is submitted for approval.
Motion to approve. I have a question.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there questions?
Uh-oh.
All right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Moving to our federal and state reports. First up, Ms. Morgan Albee with Senator Mitch McConnell's office.
Good afternoon, everyone. Just a brief legislative update. I'm sure you've all seen a couple of weeks ago, the longest government shutdown in history officially ended when the House passed the Senate DHS bill that essentially funded all of DHS with the exception of ICE and certain border security funding items. So FEMA, TSA, Coast Guard, all of that is funded and open and operating normally now. So if any of you have had issues getting in touch with FEMA over the course of the shutdown, that should be back to normal. The other funding, the immigration funding piece, the plan is to put that in a separate reconciliation bill that would avoid the 60 vote threshold requirement in the Senate. So the Senate is actually trying to put that reconciliation package together this week on the Senate floor. We'll see what the outcome on that is, but that was kind of the two-track path that's happened with DHS. So that's really the only legislative update I have. The FY27 approach process is in the very early stages. So that will be ongoing over the coming months. But otherwise, as always, just let me know if there's any way we can be helpful. Thank you.
Thank you, Morgan. Next up, Mr. Austin Weatherington with Congressman Comer's office.
It's good to be back with you all again. just like what Morgan said, of course, with the longest government shutdown, I want to reiterate, with our office, we'll be glad to inquire with FEMA on any of the issues. If there's any outstanding issues that you all have with FEMA, let us know. And we can try to get some communication between you all and that agency. Also on the House side, we are starting to hear from FY27 approach. They are passing those projects and bills out of the committee and at full committee as well. So we should be having some of these bills in the next couple of months in the summer pass through the full House. Of course, it's still, like Morgan said, very early, and it will be a very long process. Once it passes the House, has to go to the Senate. You all know how a bill becomes a law, of course, but still a very long process. One thing I also wanted to mention, we've been getting lots of questions about the AMLR funding. I know Alex may mention this as well. I know it is due today. So if you all need a last minute letter of support from our office, let us know. We'll be glad to write that. But again, appreciate the opportunity to be here. If anyone needs anything from our office, just let us know. Thanks.
Thank you, Austin. Next, we have Mr. Alex Collier with Governor Beshear's office.
Good afternoon, everyone. Martha Jane sends greetings to you all. She's staffing the Lieutenant Governor today in Bowling Green, so wishes you all well. Coming up, August 19th through the 21st, our Governor's Local Issues Conference. Registration is now open. That'll be in Louisville at the Golf House, August 19th through the 21st. It's the 50th anniversary conference, so it's going to be big. Of course, Governor Beshear will be there and about 1,000 local officials from cities and counties all across Kentucky. So go ahead and get registered on our website, our DLG website, and you can go ahead and get your room reserved at the Golf House too. So we'd love to see a great turnout from the Penny Ryle region. And I think that's pretty much all I have at this point, Judge. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Next, Mr. Greg Meredith with KYTC.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me. Just a quick update on some programs. Of course, the LARP was funded this year at an exceptional rate, 70 some odd $1 million. All those projects have been, of course, identified by the legislature. They've been put in the beginnings of what will become an MOA that'll go to you guys right after the 1st of July. So you'll be able to initiate those projects. And I know that that's going to make a real difference in a lot of the cities and counties out there. Along with that, the legislature passed what they called a grant pool for next year. Again, you all have probably seen it. It's a $24 million package that goes to each county and to each county seat, $100,000. And it is a 1-for-1 match. So in order to get the full 100,000, you have to put in 100,000 too. That money cannot come from your county road aid or your municipal road aid. So I'm sorry, that won't work. Besides that, the CCBIP program, which I work on, is ending up the year. We've got approximately $5.5 million that we're working to allocate during this selection process. I think it's on the secretary's desk right now. So you'll be, those that have applied, you'll be hearing from that pretty soon. Of course, it was continued on in the budget for the next biennium. So again, it's a really good thing. $50 million over 2 years can make a real difference in our poor county and city bridges. So thank you all for having me, and thanks for the food. Appreciate it. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Greg. Next, we have our staff reports. First, Community and Economic Development, Amy Pro.
Thank you, Judge. I want to take just a few minutes today to highlight several grant programs that we're going to be watching closely over the next several months. The first that I want to talk about is the Community Development Block Grant Program, or the CDBG program. These funds can support a wide range of eligible activities, including public facilities, community projects, housing, public services, and economic development projects. These funds are intended to benefit low to moderate income individuals with a 51% threshold benefit for those low to moderate income individuals and households. And these are to help local governments complete projects that you may not otherwise be able to fund. For the 2026 funding cycle, DLG has about 25 million spread across their funding categories to expend. Community projects, which you all are always interested in, fund our senior centers, health departments, fire stations, activities like that. They have a little over 5.8 million in that fund. And then public facilities, which is our water and sewer infrastructure projects. There's a little over 8.8 million in that fund. Also, there's about 3.3 available for housing and then 4.5 million available for economic development activities. The first deadline that we need to keep in mind for community projects and public facilities is September the 1st. That will be followed by deadlines for housing and public services on February the 1st of 2027, and then economic development applications will be due on March the 1st of 2027. So that September 1st deadline, I know September sounds like it's a long ways away, but when you're putting together these CDBG projects, they do have some time-sensitive components to them. So if you have any of those projects in mind that you want to submit under the 2026 funding year, please get with us as soon as possible so we can get to working on those. The next two programs that I want to mention are the Land and Water Conservation Fund and the Recreational Trails programs. These application cycles were pushed back this year. Usually those end sometime this month. But that cycle has been pushed to August the 1st through October the 30th of this year. So while we do have a little more time on those, again, please be thinking about those so that we can work towards that August 1 opening opportunity. Just as a reminder, Land and Water can support outdoor recreation projects, including the acquisition and development of public outdoor recreation areas. And then the Recreational Trails program can assist with trail acquisition, development, maintenance, and trailhead facilities for both motorized and non-motorized trails. Excuse me. The last opportunity that I want to flag, it's really two, are the Delta Regional Authority programs, specifically the Community Infrastructure Fund or the CIF program, and the annual allocation that comes to Kentucky, and that's the CDAP program. That's the state's Economic Development Assistance Program. We do understand that those notices of funding opportunity are currently with the OMB at the federal level for review and approval. Because these two application periods have been pushed a little bit this year, DRA has notified us that there will be a very quick turnaround on those applications, 30 to 45 days turnaround, which we usually have several months to prepare those applications. Those applications are somewhat involved, specifically for water and sewer, as a preliminary engineering report is required for those applications. So if you are interested in a DRA application or submitting a DRA project for consideration this year, again, let's talk about those sooner rather than later. All of these programs that I've mentioned today do require some funding match to be committed to the project. So with that, I wanted to mention the governmental, I'm gonna have to look at my notes to get this right, Government Resources Accelerating Needed Transportation Program, the grant program. That is that state program that will provide those matching dollars to those federal applications. The Kentucky General Assembly during this last regular session did allocate some additional funding, $100 million, $50 million across each of the 2 years of the biennium to that program. So please be sure to thank your legislators as you see them for continuing that opportunity for you all to seek those matching funds. One thing that I would like to encourage you all, as I sort of alluded to today, is to begin developing or updating a list of priority projects that you have in your communities. And this includes water and sewer needs, public facilities, parks and recreation, housing, economic development, infrastructure, just any of those community priorities that you have. If we know the types of projects that you have on your list, that can really help us keep an eye out for funding opportunities as they come along and plug those projects into those opportunities. So the one thing I want to leave you with today is please don't wait until the funding opportunity comes out. I'm gonna look at Mayor Cotton. I'm gonna use you as an example today. Please don't wait until that comes out. In his defense, we are having a planning meeting on Wednesday to do just what I'm talking about. So our staff are always here to help you all develop those applications, determining those priorities, reviewing eligibility, and coordinating with those engineers or architects that you need to help get those projects scoped and get some cost estimates associated there. So with that, I want to bring Jamie Embry up to talk about some additional opportunities from FEMA.
Thanks. Judge Williams, I will not go on writing because I thought it'd be 3 years, 2 years, 30 days, okay, 30 days. So FEMA has just released that there's a funding opportunity of $600 million that's for flood mitigation. This is pre-disaster money. It cannot be spent for anything, recovery or anything like that. It pays to protect our community before the next flood happens, not afterwards. There is 60 million available to build capacity. There's 420 million available for community infrastructure, and there's 120 million available for individual properties. And I guess I should have said you all have this in your board packet to follow. Yes. So just like look over the checklist at the bottom. I put on there 7 questions that you have that if you can check yes to those, then it could be a strong project to go through. This one I think is going to be more so about home buyouts, that if we have homes that have had severe repetitive losses, then there is a 100% federal match on that. So we're thinking about that kind of stuff, not if we can clean out our creeks and stuff like that. I know. But if you do have projects, we have to have their pre-application to KYM on Friday. So if there's a project that you have that you know of, let me know. This is another reason why we need to make sure that we're all involved in our hazard mitigation planning for these activities so that we will kind of have an idea. If there's any questions, feel free to reach out to me and I will help any way that I can.
Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. Moving to Health and Family Services, Ms. Amanda Stokes.
Good afternoon, everyone. So over the past few months, I have talked about our request for proposal process for our Older Americans Act and state funded services. So I have an update for you all today on that. In prior years, the RFP contained 2 service groups. Primarily, service group 1 encompassed the majority of services. Service group 2 was transportation only. In order to open up the opportunity for more entities to bid on services that had interest in it, this time we projected and put out there for 7 different service groups that broke apart those services. With this process, we also required interested vendors to submit proposals by county. In years past, they had the opportunity to submit a bid for the entire region. But this time we said it had to be by individual county, but they could also opt to bid on all 9 counties. This opens up the opportunity for us to be certain that we are proportionately allocating funds to each county for the services that are needed. So we opened up the opportunity in February, and then it was due on March the 31st. Our scoring committee met on April the 23rd, and that was represented by our advisory council members, that Aging Advisory Council, as well as some representation from the PeADD Board of Directors. Service Group 1, we had 3 bids this time for. Penny Ryle Allied Community Services with a total score of 131. senior helpers with a total score of 120, and Lifeline Home Care with a score of 120. After all the items were reviewed, it is the recommendation that the services for Service Group 1 be awarded to Penny Ryle Allied Community Services. Service Group 2 is our Senior Center Services. This focuses on congregate meals primarily, as well as information and assistance. We received one bid for Service Group 2 from Penny Ryle Allied Community Services with a total score of 180 points. There is a slight increase to the congregate meal unit rate, increasing that to $8.91 a meal. The recommendation is for this to be awarded to Penny Ryle Allied Community Services. Service Group number 3 is our hot daily home delivered meals. We received one bid for all 9 counties from Penny Ryle Allied Community Services. There is no increase to the unit rate for home delivered meals, but there is a 36.7 increase to the shelf stable meals. Per contract, we're required to distribute a minimum of 3 shelf stable meals per year to individuals that we serve. This is in order so they have access to a shelf stable meal in the event of a holiday or inclement weather. We always exceed that minimum of 3. And the recommendation is for this to be awarded to Penny Ryle Allied Community Services. Service Group 4, non-traditional meals. This is a new service group that we have never put out there in our RFP before. This was looking for alternatives to hot daily fresh meals, because unfortunately we do have some individuals in our region that are so far out in secluded areas, there are no meal routes available to serve them. With this, our proposal was received from Mom's Meals. Those meals are refrigerated meals that are drop shipped to a client's home every 2 weeks, and the meals can be heated up in the microwave or the oven for them to be able to consume. We're also considering these meals being a good option for clients who have ongoing medical treatment, where they're not home on a regular basis. For example, our clients who are gone 2 to 3 days a week with dialysis treatments. Most often they are not home to be able to receive that meal. So this would open up the opportunity for them to have that meal available when they return home from those treatments. It's the recommendation to award that to Mom's Meals. Service Group 5, our health promotion and disease prevention. We did not have any proposals that we received for this. So we actually have a meeting scheduled with the Department for Aging and Independent Living next week to look at options for how we might be able to continue to serve our region. Currently, we offer services such as Bingo Size, Walk with Ease, and Drums Alive in our senior centers to meet that requirement. Service Group 6 is transportation. One proposal was received from Penny Ryle Allied Community Services for all 9 counties. There is no increase to that unit rate of $10.86 per one-way trip. The recommendation is to award to the Penny Ryle Allied Community Services. Lastly, we have Service Group number 7, Legal Services. The only bid received for all 9 counties was from Kentucky Legal Aid. No increase to their unit rate of service. So the recommendation is to award to Kentucky Legal Aid. So as a recap, we have all of these listed here, and these proposals would be for all 9 counties per service group. At this time, we need action by the board.
Is there a motion to approve the recommendations?
Motion to approve recommendations is presented.
Okay, is there a second? Got a second? Any questions?
I'd like to make a comment and just say, thanks to the group for go ahead and breaking this down and allowing it to be bid out the way it was this year for the very first time. We tracked this for a while as a county level, trying to figure out if we were being involved as a participant bid process. There was a lot of questions as a first timer that we were not able to answer internally, so we decided not to do the county. I think as longer you do this, I think you have more participation, and competition is always healthy, I think. One of the concerns that we had, I think has played itself out as a comment, is the reduction of funds for the home delivered meals. And how you put a program together that's going to allow you to bid that out properly with unknown resources as reimbursement. So that was a huge concern of ours. It has played itself out just like we anticipated, that there may be some disruption or some cut in services. So, but nonetheless, I think it's a good first attempt to try to break it down and let others participate in the process.
Thank you for the feedback.
Okay.
I'm concerned about the lack of funding for the hot home daily meals because it stayed the same. So we're probably going to be in the same boat pretty quick with run out of funding. And I was surprised nobody else bid on that, I guess, because I know I had started some conversations with some other entities that were doing that for a lot less. So I don't know, do we know if conversations with them they just decided they didn't want to be involved or?
We did have some other groups interested in possibly providing that service when we offered the Interested Bidders Conference. However, about the time the proposals were due, we did receive correspondence from them that it just wasn't feasible at that time for them to pursue that.
Yes.
And what I may add, I mean, on some of those slides Amanda had, it talked about various unit levels. We know that those unit levels are going to go down. You might as well not even pay attention to the number of units that are on those slides because of the funding situation that we find ourselves in. We did have a conversation with Dale, Department for Aging and Independent Living, a couple of weeks ago to start that discussion of what this budget is going to mean to each of the area development districts. Just rewind back to September and October of last year. You remember when we had this situation first come up, there was an injection of about $9.1 million that was put into the meal program at that time to sustain those current levels through the remainder of the fiscal year. What we know is that $9.1 million is not going to be there. There were 10 area development districts that made use of that $9.1 million. We were one of those. We were actually number 2 on the list. Correct me if I'm wrong, Hala. Number 2 on the list for the amount of funding of that 9.1 that was used, which means we will probably be number 2 on the list as it pertains to the amount of reduction that we're going to see beginning July 1. So what we know at this point, unless something changes between now and July 1, is that $9.1 million that was allocated mid-year last year is going to go away. That is going to be taken away from those 10 ads that utilize those funds. We don't know what that amount is going to be just yet. I mean, we can make educated guesses, and we're doing that and putting together a plan. However, Dale has already told us that in addition to the 9.1 reduction, they're also going to see the 4% and 3% reductions that the legislature also put in place statewide. So that is going to be an additional reduction onto that 9.1. And then I think there's another 2% reduction that they are having to realize for some other reasons. So again, we don't know what those numbers look like just yet. Obviously, between now and July 1, you'll be hearing a lot about this from us and what that program is going to look like going forward. Fortunately, we do have some time to plan. Back in September and October, we basically had a week to decide what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. Now we have at least a couple of months to see how that's going to play out. And then the other thing that I think is going to help us out is this non-traditional meals that was part of the bid packet that you all approved today. As it stands right now, our intentions for those funds is to utilize them for those individuals that we can't get meals to at this point. However, I think once we start seeing what those funding reductions look like, we're going to have to look at non-traditional meals for other individuals as well, so we can extend the actual number of meals that we can provide. So I guess bottom line, today's story is to stay tuned. We'll be involving you all in those conversations as we develop that plan. Are there any questions on that? Amanda, did I say anything incorrectly? Okay.
All right, any other comments or questions? If not, we got a motion in a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
Great, thank you all. Award letters will be issued out this afternoon. May is also Older Americans Month. We have been doing a big push on social media to recognize that. We're also really trying to engage our seniors at the senior centers and the other clients we serve that are homebound with it. The campaign this year is about being a champion of your health. So stay tuned. You will be seeing some photos on our social media of our local participants and all the things that they're doing to champion their own health. We also have a new staff member that I would like to recognize, Alyssa Kern. Will you please stand? She is our new administrative assistant within the Health and Family Services Department. So please join me in welcoming her. And lastly, within your packet, you will find the Aging and Independent Living Services Report for March, as well as our waiting list for services that are broken down by county. Are there any questions? Thank you all very much.
All right. Thank you, Amanda. Next, West Kentucky Workforce Board, Ms. Becky Wells.
Not Sheila Clark, but I'm standing in for you. We have also gone through the youth program RFP process, and we will be moving forward into the contract phase of that process following the approval of 4 contractor proposals at last West Kentucky Workforce Board meeting. The total funding for fiscal year 2027 is $468,580.90. You remember West Kentucky Workforce Board serves all 17 counties of the Purchase and Pennyroyal. The 4 contractors are the in-school program is Christian County Public Schools, the out-of-school programs, Hopkinsville Community College, Madisonville Community College, and West Kentucky Community and Technical College. Those will take us through services through 2030. The Putting Young Kentuckians to Work program, I am very happy to be up here and say thank you to our legislators. They approved the Putting Young Kentuckians to Work grant for the last 2 years and now for the upcoming 2 years. So we have served 174 young adults over the last 2 years and look forward to the next 2 serving. We do not have the allocation confirmation yet, but we anticipate getting that soon. The Delta Regional Authority grant we have is for 2 years, and that started in January of this year, and we're serving adults 18 and older who are unemployed, underemployed, and justice involved. We're providing short-term training and on-the-job training in high-demand occupations. Please give us a call. Let us know if we can help in any way. We're here to serve the employers and the communities.
In new business, the monthly code of ethics report, there were no issues to report. And now to our speaker. We have Mr. Joe Dan Beavers with Life Skills. And Mr. Eric Emery. No stranger to the road.
2 Embrees today.
2 Embrys.
Which one's better?
Hey, hey, hey. Jason, stop.
Required to use the mic.
No, you don't have to.
In there, I'll stand here. We'll go through it. Got it.
We need to vote.
No, that's all right. Good.
Introduce yourself.
All right. Well, good afternoon. Thank you all for having us. Joe Dan Beavers, President and CEO of Life Skills. And it's kind of weird to stand up here, so I'm gonna sit down. Let him stand up. Thank you all for having us. And I want to start by thanking you all. I appreciate the prayer that was offered this morning. Thank you. My father was involved in local politics for a long time, almost 20 years. the city of Princeton, either a city council member or mayor. So I know that the work you all do is hard and difficult, but also very, very important. Not to take away from our state and federal legislators, but a lot of what they do isn't possible without the work you all do first. So I appreciate all that you all do, the sacrifice that you all make. Because I got to see it growing up. So appreciate you all being here today and giving us a little bit of your time. But I'm the CEO for Life Skills. We're a community mental health center with offices here in Bowling Green and Hopkinsville. And glad to share a little bit about some things that we're doing that we hope you guys might find interesting as well. And I'm going to let my colleague Eric Embry introduce himself as well.
I'm Eric Embry. I'm the CEO of Life Skills. I will be frequently looking to my left. My wife has me on a time clock so that you all get out of here on time. All right. I also want to thank Jason, the PeADD board, for allowing us to discuss issues that I believe that every community in our catchment area is seeing, and that's the prevalence and increasing number of individuals that are affected by severe mental illnesses, substance use, addiction are co-occurring, to where they deal with both of them and how that can impact the prevalence of the homelessness that you all are seeing. Going to go through some statistics because what we're here to tell you about is a first of its kind project that we're actually doing in Bowling Green, and why we think that this would be a good solution for the PeADD region to consider at the same time. So these are statistics that we gathered together through the first iteration of this project. Is that Bowling Green Police Department, they answer approximately 900 calls on an annual basis for an individual that's dealing with mental health or substance use issue. 80% of the inmates at the Warren County Jail deal with those issues as well. 1 in 5 individuals in the Brad region are affected by a mental health issue or substance use. Then at the same time, we were having communities that were getting opioid abatement settlement dollars, and due to the guidelines and the restrictions on those fundings, and not being content experts in dealing with this issue, really didn't know what to do with it. The amounts varied community to community. You had some cities or counties getting millions of dollars, some getting hundreds of thousands, some getting thousands over the next few years. So we partnered with Brad and developed what we call the Anchor Project. Now, who are we? There we go. If you're familiar with the counties in PeADD, you would know us historically as the Pennyroll Center. As the CEO of the Pennyroll Center up until January 1st of 2020, at that time, healthcare, which still is going through mergers, acquisitions, healthcare entities have to get larger because payers really only care about one thing. That's the number of covered lives. You got to have a number of covered lives to be able to negotiate rates. I knew we needed to get bigger. I grew up in the arena with Joe Dan. We both came up as CFOs. We both transitioned to CEOs, went to them and said, hey, would you like to have a discussion? Did not know at that time that their strategic plan was growth. So it just worked out. And it took us about 3 years to get to this point, but we got here. So right now we cover 18 counties, basically from Land Between the Lakes to Mammoth Caves, an easy way of doing it. We are a community mental health center that was established by KRS 210. We're quasi-governmental. Our board is made up of community members. Judge Mansfield is on our board representing Todd County. Jared Nelson, I just saw Jared. Jared works for PeADD. He's on our board. We're always looking for board members. We have a lot in this area that we need to fill. Trigg, Hopkins, Muhlenberg. If you know of somebody, we've asked Jason to give us names. He's started doing that. If you know of someone that would be good for our board, please let us know. We'd be happy to have the conversation with them. We run a full continuum of mental health and substance use services. We also serve individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities. If you're familiar with the homeless veteran shelter that's located in Hopkinsville, Trilogy Center for Women, you know, that's Life Skills programs. CAR certified and accredited for our residential treatment programs. We offer 24-hour crisis line, 988. Anybody that calls 988, they get our staff 24/7. And we're a proven partner with PeADD. We worked with them before for a project with Brad, local justices, law enforcement. You know, I've talked to multiple people, even in this room. If you've got a problem, I don't use business cards. Most people have my cell phone number though. So we try and solve problems.
So you'll hear us talk about this term, the anchor projects, and I can actually take credit for that. That was Eric Sexton, the Area Development District Director in our neck of the woods. He's the one that started calling it that because we did have a name for it and it just kind of stuck. So now that's just what we call it. And when we use that term, we're really talking about three distinct parts and how they come together. And I wouldn't do it justice if I didn't give you a little bit of story of it, really how it all came together, because it's not unlike this discussion we're having right here this afternoon. When the opioid abatement dollars and that program came about, you guys know there was really two streams of funding. One that's grant-based and the other that comes to you all, our city and county and municipalities, with some very specific rules and regulations around it. And I know you guys have talked about how to do that, how to use those funds, because there are some very tight regulations around what you can use those for. And so the conversation they had was a couple of ways. One was, gosh, we don't want to spend this the wrong way because there's a lot of rules with it. And gosh, this is really important stuff we need to deal with, and we want to make sure that we can deal with it and make an impact. And then there were other discussions, like Eric mentioned. Some of the groups got pretty sizable chunks. I know one of our municipalities, it was several $100,000 a year. I think, and you wouldn't mind me saying this because I know the mayor there, I think Horse Cave got $1,500. Like, what am I gonna do with $1,500? It's almost more of a hassle to handle it than it is to spend it. But they didn't want to misuse any of those dollars. They wanted to try to make an impact in their communities, in their counties, and their regions. And so what kind of came out of that as a secondary conversation was, should we do lots of small projects, or is there a way to find a way to do something larger, impactful for the region to really move the needle? They didn't know what that was, but that was a conversation they started to have, or if they could even do it in the way the program regulations were structured. Separate from that, some of the same people in that room, serving some of the same roles you all serve, we're having conversations about what are we going to do about some of the homeless populations in our communities. What are we going to do about some of our jails that are becoming overcrowded? What are we going to do about some of the challenges we see with mental health and addiction issues in our communities? And those are conversations they were having with Eric and I at our level and our roles in those solutions. And internally, as he mentioned, with our strategic plan, we were looking at where is that happening in the country in terms of best practices? Who's figured out how to handle these and do it well? And really where we got lucky is we just happened to be the guys that were standing in the middle of all of those conversations. And so while we didn't have it figured out, we just started talking together. It's like, I think there's a solution here somewhere. We can address all this together. And so those conversations led to more conversations and eventually led us to a model that we found national best practice that didn't exist anywhere in Kentucky, but helped kind of string together some of those challenges into a couple of solutions that we thought could really help all of the stakeholders in the situation. So that's what these three things are. The one we'll talk the most about today is what we call the Mental Health Crisis Intake Center. And we'll show you some pictures of that in a second. But that's a 24 hours, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, first of its kind for Kentucky facility to receive individuals that may be experiencing mental health or substance use related crisis. They don't have to have a payer source. They don't have to have things figured out. They can just show up whenever they are, wherever they are. And we're going to have the right treatment methodology, modality to take care of them. The second part, we're going to call the Life Learning Center. That's something that does exist in Kentucky today, just not in our geography. It's based in Covington, Kentucky. A lady named Alicia Webb Edgington runs that program. It is phenomenal. If you haven't heard about that yet, that's your one takeaway from today. Look it up. You will not regret your time. Their success rate is unbelievable. The recidivism rate for folks that complete that program that re-enter the justice system is in the single digits. I'm going to stop right there for a second. That is inverse of every other program like it. Usually it's the opposite. The folks that succeed, the numbers in the single digits. Her success rate is off the charts. They have developed their own curriculum. It's evidence-based and it is phenomenal. They are really changing trajectory of lives, putting people back in the workforce, reuniting families. We're partnering with them to bring that into this region as phase 2. And the third phase, where our area development district really is critical, is they formed an Office of Drug Control Policy. For all of this, they're like the point guard. They hired a person who's kind of overseeing all this for us, helping bring not just our organizations together, but other community partners that play a role in all this and kind of helping spearhead this through the process. So this is a process that really took several months, really a year and a half, probably all told, partnering together. But it ended up in us getting in front of some state legislators, asking them to help us fund this idea, and they agreed. We got for the building itself, Eric, maybe go ahead and slide it forward one. So in the picture here, the kind of L-shaped building was already there. That's the primary office headquarters for Life Skills in Bowling Green, but the building adjacent to it, that I guess the best way to describe it is does not look like an L, is the building we just started building a few months ago. That is the crisis intake facility. So we asked them, we could demonstrate if we got the building built, we know the services it's going to provide will be sustainable. The economic model will pay for itself. What we didn't bring today, and if this is something that this group is interested in a little bit at all, it's worth coming back and showing you more of the detail. The inside is where the magic is. How it's designed is what makes it best in class. It's designed specifically for the service it provides. And I'll talk a little bit about that, but we didn't have the funding to build the building, and it's not something you could retrofit into something you already had. It has to be built specifically for the purpose you're going to use it for. So we asked the General Assembly to help us fund it, and they agreed. They gave us $20 million to build this building, and they gave us additional $1.3 million for the area development district to start up and house the Regional Office of Drug Control Policy, and then additional funding for the Life Learning Center to expand their project to our location, and then 3 additional ones across the Commonwealth. So the 3 of those components together, the crisis facility, the Regional Drug Control Policy Office, and the Life Learning Center, those together we refer to as the anchor project. So the idea is if someone's involved in they're experiencing a crisis, mental health or addiction related, wherever they come into the system, whether that's they walk in on their own, family member brings them to us, they're involved with law enforcement, or maybe they're at a hospital emergency room or the justice system, they can come to us. This facility will immediately mitigate the crisis, handle the immediate crisis at hand, the ability to step them down through the system in the same building. So get the immediate crisis stabilized. The second floor of this building has short-term residential treatment facility bed space available, so we can get them stabilized in that short-term nature. That's the kind of clinical space that the Life Learning Center has to have the person complete before they will accept them. And then the idea is once they're through our system, we will do a warm handoff directly to that program. And her success rate, again, it's off the charts, single-digit recidivism rate. So that's the plan here, is that to put that model together and offer it to the citizens of South Central Kentucky. Now, we know these programs are successful separately. To our knowledge, this will be the only one like it in the country. It has all of them together. The excitement around this has been, well, it's been easy to generate the excitement around it. I can tell you that people that are involved locally, a lot of them overlap with your counties here. And there is a general excitement about once we have this up and running and our feet under us, they would love to see this move west, specifically here. I can tell you from the state level, Jason Petrie was big reason we got the funding. And this first question he asked us was, once this works, where do we go next? Of course, he was very interested in bringing it to his jurisdiction. The lady with the Life Learning Center sees lots of opportunities for just some of the natural constraints around what would make sense here with some of the things that we have in this region. Selfishly, I would love to see it here too. As I mentioned before, this is a part of the country or part of the state where I grew up. So would love to see that here. But this backside, and I've gone too long, I apologize. Well, while we're showing the backsides of the building, this is an entrance designed specifically for first responders. So unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, many folks enter our crisis system through first responders, law enforcement, police, sheriff, ambulance, EMS. This is an entrance designed specifically for them with their help and input. So this will be an entrance only accessed by them, a safe and secure method for them to enter the building with the individual, provide a safe and secure transition from law enforcement to our staff The best part is then they can leave and go back to their normal position in their job. So if you're in city or county government now, I'm certain if you hear about crisis services, probably the first thing you hear about is how much time, energy, manpower it takes. This immediately solves that problem. There's an example like this in Nashville, Tennessee, the closest one to us right now. We went to visit it. Their contract with the Metro Nashville government is 10 minutes or less. Metro Nashville PD show up with an individual, they have to be out and back on patrol in 10 minutes or less. So ours on average, it's hours, and I'm sure it's the same around here. We didn't guarantee 10 minutes or less the first year. We're going to start with an hour, but we think we can get it down. Even just an hour, it's going to save hundreds of thousands of dollars across each of our county governments. So that's a big savings immediately. But the opportunity to get folks to a safe clinical environment, but more importantly, get first responders, law enforcement, sheriff's office, deputies, constables, back out patrolling the streets, providing public safety services, and not providing behavioral health services. That's a win-win for everyone involved. And I think I basically covered, I think if you just went ahead and moved the slide ahead, that's really what we're talking about. Those are the key things in those parts. That the law enforcement impact keeps people out of jails. If we intercept these folks at that point, then hopefully we can avoid them being involved with the justice system. So we keep them out of jail, we keep them out of the justice system. Both of those, sometimes unfortunately, it's where we get treatment to these folks, but we can intercept them before they get there. So we're not having to treat these folks in the jails, overcrowd our jails, involve those staff with these individuals, and we can get them treatment instead of corrections.
Thank you. Now, due to census volume, we know we don't need a facility the size that we're constructing in Bowling Green for the PeADD region. So, what we're interested in doing is taking pen to paper and designing something that would fit this region and fit the needs of the communities. We would include crisis stabilization beds. I don't know why it says available to all participating counties. We're required to serve anybody regardless of ability to pay. We're a safety net provider. So that's really, I don't know why that's up there. I did the slide. I don't know why I put it in that way. Medical detox capacity. There's really no medical detox in the area. Jails are the largest provider of detox across the state. That's a fact. Substance use treatment beds, mental health crisis services. Would operate it, we would place it within the PeADD. We're not here saying we're going to go get $20 million from the General Assembly. We're not proposing 36,000 square foot building, having 88 staff day one. Today, we're simply saying, is this something when you go back to communities that they would be interested in having that would be a benefit to this area? And if so, to let us know.
Again, we mentioned a little, or I mentioned a little bit, this is, I think, this is how we got the most involvement locally with our city and county officials, is the savings, the safety impact, the buy-in was immediate from our city police office, I'm sorry, city chiefs of police, county sheriffs, our jailers, our judicial system. There is both a direct and indirect cost to this process, and this, I won't say it eliminates it. It relieves a substantial amount of it almost immediately. We took a field trip to Nashville to visit one of these facilities. There's a handful of them across the country. This is becoming the trend in our space. Facilities like this. Like I said, there's not one in Kentucky yet. We're building the first one in Bowling Green. I would love for the second one to be somewhere near here. When you see it in action, we went to visit, took the mayor of Bowling Green with us. We got lucky while we were there. We had an individual brought in for involuntary evaluation. 2 police officers from Metro Nashville PD brought him in. We saw the exchange happen. I think he thought it was a setup, like he didn't, like we were scamming him. So he ran outside to try to catch the police officers, asked him, like, I want to understand what I just saw. And they explained to him how it worked. And, but it really is a situation where the law enforcement officers can bring the individual, hand them off to clinically trained individuals where they don't have to spend the time with them that they do right now. In Bowling Green alone, the average time is 4 hours. Some less, some more, but the average is 4 hours. We do 1,800 a year. So you do the math. I mean, that's a substantial number of FTEs that are just spent on that, not providing public safety efforts. So it's a huge savings. That doesn't account for the number of people we keep out of jail, we keep out of the emergency rooms, and hopefully we can keep from being admitted to the state hospitals. So huge amount of reinvestment tax dollars we can spend on other things. So the financial case we can make pretty easily. In terms of how this ties into the opioid abatement dollars. So there's some specific requirements in terms of how those dollars can be used. And the area development district at the state association level, and I apologize, forget what your association is called, but at the Kentucky Council. Spent some time talking with the state attorney general's office about this specifically, and they got direct guidance. And the city of Bowling Green and Warren County worked together to draft an agreement with that the attorney general's office reviewed and approved, basically to that they drafted. And both of those groups, the city of Bowling Green is enacted. I think it's going through the process with Warren County, the number of readings, but and then the rest of the municipalities are going to follow suit. They've already told us that they'll really make that available to anyone that would like to as well. But it basically authorizes the use of some of these funds to help support this program. Part of that is we mentioned we got the General Assembly allocation to help us build the building. This will allow, if we have an overrun, if we need extra things for the building, that some of those dollars can be used for that because of the nature of how this is drafted. The area development district is actually the fiduciary. Those dollars don't come to us. The Barron River Area Development District got the state allocation. They're gonna house those funds, distribute those funds, manage the project. At the end of the day, we're just the clinical operator. And that's our partnership with the PeADD district. And that's the model that makes it work. That's what the General Assembly required. To make sure that it's a regional model so that it serves all the counties, and they like that regional component and how the PeADD district functions that way. That's how we got it done. And they've even told us they want to see this model grow. And that's our commitment to that is we know it's going to work. And our commitment is to open up that playbook, the recipe, if you will, and share it with anybody else that wants it. And it's a big reason that we're here today.
All right, I'm getting a look of disgust from my wife. That means that we got to wrap it up. Basically, y'all go back, y'all discuss it. You want this to be pursued further, you can let Jason know. Jason lets us know, and we'll put pen to paper. You got two former CFOs who can throw together a white paper to show you what the cost would be to the community or the savings to the community and what we think the appropriate scale of the project is.
And I will say this, we've been working on this a long time. And Jason came to us almost immediately and said, look, when you guys get this figured out and you start to get moving, I'd love to talk to you more about it. So he's been asked us to come for a long time. So we appreciate the chance to be here today.
That's it. That's
Are there any questions?
Anyway, do y'all have statistics on how many folks from this region, you know, that may be going somewhere else, whether it's Owensboro or Nashville or other things for their snipes? I know there's bits and pieces, but how many from this region are going out for help?
No, really, the only data that I've looked at was because what I heard during COVID, we're not state employees, we're not ran by the state, but during COVID, we were asked to step in and provide interim leadership at Western State Hospital. And I went over there for a 6-month commitment, a different version of the word there. I just realized that. Sorry. That turned into 18 months, but what I heard from community members here was that individuals were coming in from outside of Christian County and Western State was discharging them here to add to the homeless population. When I had the numbers pulled, it was less than 1% over 18 months that came outside of Christian County that were discharged to an address within Christian County. So what I can tell you is that Owensboro has their own community mental health center, River Valley, that operates under the same conditions that we do. I don't have access to the numbers I can tell you what the Medicaid spend is across the state, but not actual number of services rendered to people from our region going outside of our region.
Any other questions? I know for Todd County, our jail population, we're not overrunning, but our state inmate population is down about 40%, but our county inmate population is up 30%. Or no, actually it's tripled. It's tripled. It went from about 10 to 15 to average of 30. And that's our cause completely. And many of those folks probably could be going somewhere else, but they all have some type of addiction.
They probably need to go somewhere else.
Yeah. So anything else? Thank you both.
Thank you.
This time we will turn it to our director.
Well, and I'll just add, I know that a number of you all sitting in this room and we've had this conversation. How do you all as local officials help in this space? What can you all do? And I think, I hear from my counterpart, Eric, over the Barren River, every time I talk to him, it's about this project and about the great things that are happening with this already, even though the building's not completed yet. And I think about how that can move over here to our area and assist with these same issues that I know we have in this region. So I hope you all will be open to having this discussion in the future. I think this is the first step to start having this conversation. We all know how the legislative process works. And if we're going to start having conversations with legislators, now's the time to start having the conversation with legislators about the upcoming budget session that will happen in a year and a half. So let's continue having this conversation. Thank you all for being here. Joe Dan, for those of you all that don't remember, when he said Princeton, you all probably recognized it, but Mayor Beavers, who was a longtime board member and supporter of this agency, was his father. And we appreciate his time and the leadership that he had for this organization. So very glad to make that connection. Thank you all for being here. A couple of other things I just want to bring your attention to. Our contracts that we do have with the Department for Aging and Independent Living. This is something that happens every May and June for you all. There is a requirement in those contracts for a board level training for community engagement. That training, if you recall, over past years, we have sent you all a link for that training. And then once you complete it, I think you have to email Melissa back. We do have some requirements, some percentage requirements that we have. I think it's 70% of our board has to complete that training, and 100% of our executive committee has to complete that training. So Melissa will be sending that out in the very near future. Once you get that, if you could go ahead and complete it, that will help us out tremendously. For those of you all that are on our executive committee, you will be receiving information in the very near future about an upcoming executive committee meeting that's going to happen on Monday, June the 15th. Be on the lookout. That's our annual budget session. I know you all are preparing your budgets, and a lot of you all have already submitted and approved those budgets. We have to do the same thing, and we're trying to finish up that process here at our office. And we'll be presenting our budget to our executive committee on June the 15th, and then bringing it to our full board in July. So those on the executive committee, be on the lookout for an email from Melissa regarding that. Just one more quick reminder about next month's meeting. It will be our formal annual meeting. However, it will take place here in this room at 12 o'clock on that second Monday of June. Again, just as a reminder, it will be a normal monthly meeting. However, we will add a few things that have to take place per our bylaws for our annual meeting. And then we will have our annual dinner, quote, celebration later then in September. So unless there are any questions for me, Mr. Chairman, that's all I have today.
All right, any questions? No, right here.
This document regarding a wildlife management thing, what's that about?
That was the interlocal government. I think we only had one project that was part of the interlocal government review. That's just for information purposes, Judge. Each month we have a number of projects. Just so happened this month we only had one project, I believe. Is that correct? Clearinghouse, yes. Sorry.
So that's
Just for informational
like
purposes.
everybody said they weren't support that, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
So
Those comments have been received and submitted.
thank you.
If submitted, what does that mean for the project?
I'm not sure. We just have an opportunity to comment, and we submit those comments that we have received from you all.
Kind of like me at the house. I can comment, but not going to change anything.
No comment.
All right, anything else?
Any other questions?
We got a motion to adjourn. Got a second?